we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening. My name is Dave Scott, and this is Spaced Out Radio for a Tuesday night. We really appreciate you coming on in, and we're getting into the Akashic Records and all the spellbinding wellness and everything that goes along with it. Our guest, Lisa Barnett, will be here momentarily. She got a brand new book called Akasha. Oh, yeah, we're going to get into it tonight. Let the woo begin. Let us say hello to each and every one of you in our chat room so far. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position, Sugar Britches taking home the silver, Laura Lobbs with a nice bronze medal tonight. And, of course, we also have, let's see here, Roy Boy, Robert Lamoth, Chris 716, Dino Bravo, Rugged Source, Human Carl is here. Yep, Human Carl, not to be confused with Alien Carl. We love you, Human Carl. Hope you're having a great night. Lisa C., how are you? Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. Raven Creek Charms is here. Raven Creek Charms will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Moving on, we got Kurt M., just another guy named Harry, Les Paul Holland, Black Dragon, and D. Cohen. Kevin, how you doing, man? Hi, Marlena. How are you? And who else do we have here? Alien Universe. Nice to see you back. And Carl Joe Garrison. Welcome to SOR Chat. Hit subscribe if you don't mind, if you haven't already. Lee the Bee and Mexi97. Good to see you guys. And who else is here? Millennium, my man. Nice to have you here. D Cypher. Good to have you back. Jenny White Bear. We love you, my dear. Hope you're having a great night. And there's Pixie Lara. Give us a wave, Pixie Lara. There you are. All right, continuing on. Let's see who else is here. We got War Criminal, and we got Vanessa, a.k.a. Lovey Love. JSCO, how you doing, buddy? And scrolling on down, there's Jessica at Geek Calgary. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. And who else is here? Let's see. Cedric Kincaid, Nancy Thames, The Other Side. And there's John Corner. How you doing, John? Super crazy. Deer Slayer Ski from Long Island. How you doing? Melissa Nicole, it's been a while. How you doing? Melissa Nicole will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Thomas Rock and Scott Rosen. Nice to see you both. Daryl Zerline, what's happening, my man? And let's see, who else do we have here? Mac Geek, good to see you. Linda B., thank you for coming on in. Christine Lynn, and sweet Robbie G. from the Social Dig. How you doing, Robbie? How's that chin hair? Keep us updated if you don't mind. Richard Elmore, good to see you. Solus One, it's been a while. How you been doing? Digger Dog, W. David Page, Nina Williams, nice to have you all here. And there's Toothbrush. And who else do we have here? We got Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. All right, Chillgasm, Boss Monster, Mandy, how are you all? Continuing with our roll call tonight, we got Doubleday and Raymond L. and Lone Star Gemini. Thank you for coming on in. The lovely T2E, how are you? And you're early tonight. Wow. Let's Pen Man. How you doing? We got the radio side going, so that way we can let Bill WD-40 into the room to lube us up for tonight's show. PC, aka Paul. Welcome to SOR chat. Who else do we got? Dracultocon. There we go. Say no to the probe. Absolutely. How you doing? Welcome to SOR chat. And Kathleen Hughes, Science Melinda. SG Nav Spotter, good to see you. We got 20 seconds left. Jimmy Gonzalez, Android, nice to have you guys here. And Debster, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much, Deb. Much love. Emmy Tong, nice to see you. TMI, thanks for coming on in. John Jackson. And for the rest of you, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. And horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live at KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. A great show of information tonight as we kind of step away from UFOs a little bit, but no, we'll get into some aliens. Lisa Barnett is here. Her website is AkashicKnowing.com, and her new book, Akasha. We're going to get into the Akashic Records. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton has a brand new story for us from Among the Missing. Then Robin McRae will be here for the nightly Cryptid reports. Let's have some fun, shall we? Yeah, let's. Lisa Barnett is the founder of Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom, where she has taught thousands of students worldwide to access personal soul wisdom from their Akashic record. She is also the author of a number of books, including her brand new book called Akasha. Yes, this can be found on our website, AkashicKnowing.com. It's a spiritual experience of accessing your soul wisdom. We're going to learn about how we do that tonight. And Lisa has more than 25 years of experience in spiritual healing and Akashic Record Channeling. She brings clarity to you by accessing quantum healing energy from the Akasha to release old karma, contracts, and patterns that no longer serve you. Holy cow. She would be working on me for at least 16 hours a day for at least 8 months. At least. Lisa Barnett, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. It's good to have you back. Thank you.
Happy to be here, Dave. Thanks for having me back.
So when do we start our 8 months of sessions? That's what I want to know.
Well, I really, honestly, when you're working in the quantum field, it's really pretty fast. Although, I often have to tell my clients, okay, 1 hour every 60 years does not actually cut it. You have to work a little more on healing all the garbage that you've built up over the last, 1,000 lifetimes. So,
well, this is why I'm saying I got 8 months scheduled for you right now. And, Lisa, it's so good to have you back. This is your second time on Spaced Out Radio. we're glad to have you here, as we all always do like to shift up our topics every now and again. And the Akashic records, to me, I don't know how I feel about them. And I say that with all due respect to the topic because I find them confusing. I
Mm.
find it very hard to understand. I find it I find it something that my mind just cannot process. How did you get involved with the Akashic records, and maybe explain what the Akashic records are for our audience?
Absolutely. So I'll start with the explanation that might make everything a little bit easier. So the Akashic Record is the recording of your soul's journey throughout all time space continuum. So to me, one of the easy ways of thinking about it would be if you were born with a little GoPro in your head, right? You were always making a video, and every night when you went to sleep, that video was uploaded to the cloud. Well, that cloud, the Akasha, which actually translates to sky or ether, that cloud is where everything is stored. And so from the moment you individuate from source, right? That you actually get a soul, your own separate soul. Everything you ever do is automatically recorded in this etheric field that we call the Akasha. Now, it's part of source energy, it's part of the quantum field where there is no time and space. And so, the very kind of cool thing to me is that it gives you your very own personal library. So if you want to check back and wonder, what was I thinking when I took a body this time, right? What did I want to do when I came here? And really, why the heck did I pick those crazy parents? You actually can go into your Akashic records and look it up, because your soul wrote a plan before you came into a body every single life. And most of us do it between 500 and 800 lives here on Earth alone, not including all your alien galactic lives. 500 here on good old planet Earth. And so everything you've done is recorded, and it's there for you to access, to understand this plan you wrote, and to kind of figure out, what was I thinking, what did I want to learn about, why, again, why would I pick the challenges I picked? Or, wow, how come I was so smart to make such a cool life for myself that I can just have a little rest life and just chill? So it's interesting to find out the whys of who we are as these ancient souls.
Okay, so how did you learn about this? Because this isn't a natural topic for many of us to all of a sudden explore.
Right. Good point. So I was born awake, right? So I was actually born a little on the very weird side. At 3 years old, I could remember not being in a body. I could literally remember talking to my soul friends and not having to use all these words. And so at 3, I thought, oh my God, no wonder my mother doesn't understand me. I'm trapped in this body. And I literally remember looking at my hands thinking, really? No. And started telling my mother right around then. I was like 3, 4 years old, like, I want to go back. And of course, mom didn't know what to do with me, but say, oh, it's okay, honey, you'll be fine. And so that was her basic line. And it worked out okay, because I am fine. But so I started to literally to study as a teenager. Um, Luckily, I was growing up in California, and it was the late 60s, and then, 70s and 80s. There was a lot of new spiritual information coming out around that time. And so I started studying in high school and went on and studied philosophy in college. And I just tried to learn as much as I could about what I knew and what I was experiencing. Kind of same thing if you kind of imagine having weird alien dreams and trying to study up what does that mean? Why, am I being abducted? Is this real? What about them? Right. So, with my kind of why am I back in a body and how come it's so hard to explain all the things I know? I studied and eventually I started to access the records. They started to talk to me. So I actually had a healing. I was a healer. I was an intuitive, psychic, energy healer. And when I would do healings for people, every once in a while, this kind of big booming voice would come in, this big energy with all this information. And it would be kind of like looking at someone's huge timeline of all their lives. And I'd think, wow, that's crazy. That's pretty wild and fascinating. And I'd say, thanks for the information. And it took me actually almost 5 years before I figured out who the heck was talking to me, that it was actually the Akashic Record Keepers. Because again, back in the 80s, 90s, no one was talking about the records.
Why you? Why were you? Why do you think you were chosen?
Why you? Well, I said that exactly because, there I was at that point. I had a couple of small children and I was like living in the suburbs. And I said to them, I had a healing center. I was doing my healing work. I knew I had come to do something a little more different than, work in corporate America. And so I said to them, when I realized who I was talking to and I started to actually have a whole conversation with them, which is actually very possible and what I teach my students to do, they said, would you start a school? We would like you to help anchor the Akashic energy back on Earth. And I said, okay, what does that mean? And why me? So, so they said, during the Dark Ages, right, during around 1000 AD, back when they were burning all those witches at the stake and everything, they said people were also using the Akashic Records for their own gain. And so they would ask in the records how to win a war or to find someone's gold or their jewels or whatever it was that they wanted. So they literally energetically pulled the vibration of the Akasha away from Earth so people couldn't access it any longer. So we lost track. We lost our to the Akasha around 1,000 years ago. And so when they said to me, will you help us anchor the energy back to the planet? That was the reason, because they had pulled it away and they said, it's time now, right? There is more light coming to Earth now than has been on this planet for a very long time. Very, 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 like, I don't know, 200,000 crazy years or something like that, like a really long time. None of us remember it. So they said, when I said, well, why me? Like, I'm a mom in the suburbs. And they told me, they said, because you were one of us. And of course, I'm like, and what does that mean? You were one of us. I was a record keeper. And they said, yeah, you were a record keeper. So they started to explain how often we work as souls, right? So they explained to me that when a soul individuates from source and goes on a journey, many of us go and live in other places, planes, and dimensions, right? We are all starseed. We are all galactic. And some of us, before we go on that trip, we may stop in the big etheric library in the sky and do some studying and try and figure out what's going on out there. We come into service for other souls. And so that's what I did. I was an Akashic Record Keeper. They're the same beings of light that I speak to when I do readings for my clients. And so they said, you can hear us because you're one of us. You can connect to this energy, this vibration, which has been pulled from the Earth for 1,000 years. And we need help. We need people in bodies, right? We need boots on the ground to help us energetically anchor this energy. It's kind of hard to say no to that sort of thing, don't you imagine? So, so I said,
Oh,
sure.
okay, so who are these beings who run this library of Akasha?
Right. So they're pure source energy. They're just pure light energy. They've never been human. They have they're not ascended masters, they're not angels, and they're not aliens at this point, right? They have no judgment. One of the great gifts of actually being able to access your own Akashic records and talk to these beings of light that keep your records is that they are here in support of you. They have no judgment of you. They have no judgment there because they're not human. So they don't think we're crazy. They don't, find anything odd about us, right? And so they're here in service, and they're, like I say, pure energy, pure light energy, souls before they go on a big long journey.
Are they heavenly entities? Are they you say they're not aliens, so what kind of spirit are sitting there with a quill-tipped pen and trying to write down everything stupid that I do?
Well, the good news is that they don't have hands, and so they don't have to do that, but it's all automatically, like energetically, just like I was talking about, like a GoPro or some kind of video camera strapped to your head. It's just automatically constantly running. So everything you do is recorded. Um, and they are pure souls. So at some point, and again, this is way beyond me, really, and even though quantum science or a physicist might be able to explain it, I certainly can't. But what the record keepers tell me is that we individuate from source, right? So if everything is source energy, if we are all really unified and one, we at some point say, oh, I want to go on a journey. Source says, I want to experience the world in all of its facets. And so there are whatever zillions of us, and that soul goes on its own journey with its own kind of plans and purposes and things it's really good at doing. We all have our own, right? That's what makes us unique. We all have our own kind of energy and facets, so that we're not all cookie cutter. We don't all come out exactly the same, and we become even more unique as we go down the road. Because of course, if I go and I stop in the big library and I spend whatever, hundreds or thousands or millions of years, who knows, no time. I'm in there studying, I'm in there helping other souls, I'm in there, being of service. And somebody else might have, hopped in a taxi and gone off to the airport and found the closest planet that they could go live on and experience. So we all do it differently. And in the end, we all go kind of back into that one unified field of source.
Mm.
So
So,
basically, it's a big old game.
but it sounds so confusing because, you know, when I look at this, it reminds me that would mean, what we know about what we little know about reincarnation would be real.
Right.
It means that almost a Buddhism would be real in a way, that there would be it's almost like taking the entire every religion on this planet, which is I believe there's 5,000 of them, and kind of and taking little bits and specks of each one and blending it all together to make this pure place of love and living, before you decide to do something stupid and reincarnate again.
I would agree. Honestly, I would say that that there is at least a speck of truth in all religions. And often it is very much about the unified energy, that we are really unified in oneness. and that our big soul purpose is about having experiences, playing these crazy games, just like playing video games. This is one big old video game, really. So when we look at movies like The Matrix, I don't think they're so far off. And honestly, you know, if I go down some of those roads, there's a lot of rabbit holes out there in the whole concept. But there are galactic worlds, galactic wars, just like Star Wars, right? So I really believe that so much of these experiences that people remember, right, that people make up, that people, for a movie or some kind of crazy idea, there are, again, seeds of truth in them. There could be past life memories. And so when I go into the Akashic Records and start to ask about some of these other worlds and other lifetimes, I can actually look at some lifetimes that I've had on Sirius, which is, on the Dog Star, and happy 8/8, it's Lionsgate today, which is kind of a cool, very high vibe energy day, because we're in a very strong alignment to Sirius, to the Dog Star. So I would venture to say, if you think about ourselves as aliens, I would say that I've lived hundreds of lives on some of these other planets, like Sirius, which actually has 3 planets, not just one. So there's all sorts of different aliens there. It's kind of cool.
Okay, we'll get into the whole alien aspect a little bit later because, I love me some aliens. I really do. Okay, but let's take a look at this whole thing. Like, you call it source, many people call it God. Okay, who's running this thing? Are there numerous gods running this? Or, do we have to watch up for whatever up the street in order to make sure that we don't upset anybody? Like, who's running all of this at once?
I don't think anyone's actually running it. As weird as that might sound, it is the energy of source, the energy actually of the universe. No matter how we try and prove this wrong, there is an infinite intelligence, and it creates, right? And I don't know, it works. And so it's not like it's, we're not looking for some old guy sitting in a chair somewhere, or 10 old guys sitting in chairs somewhere. It is the intelligence of the universe. And I think it's interesting that things like quantum physics are starting to be able to show how the energies and the unified, right, the way that we are strung together energetically in the quantum field, it actually looks something like the way that information is passed through a brain. So we are really wired, the universe is wired to share information. And so, I think it's good that more and more of the quantum physics and scientists are starting to show in different ways how this universe works, and that it's very likely, one, that we're not alone, because the idea that we ever thought that we were alone, I think, is so absurd. I mean, it's just the phenomenal egocentricness of man, of humanity. And so finally we're starting to be honest and say, we aren't alone. We couldn't possibly be alone. Are you kidding me? Have you seen any of those pictures from the Hubble telescope of all those, thousands of galaxies out there? So, I think we're so much more. I don't think we really can wrap our brain around it, though. I think it is just, our brain is not that complex to really understand all of that expanse.
Well, mine is feeling very complex right now because I'm on a very thin rope trying to figure this stuff out tonight. Akashic Records with Lisa Barnett. I love her energy, her website, akashicknowing.com, where you can pick out her new book, Akasha. Spaced Out Radio second half hour is coming up next. All right, we're clear.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Donna Lair. Hi, Travis DeLuca. Hi, Bill Cardwell. Number one, Bill. Number one and forever. I got so many questions. So many questions. Keyshawn, how you doing, buddy? How's Ontario tonight? I am collecting questions for hour number 2. So if you have any, put them in capital letters. Otherwise, it makes life difficult for old Davey.
Yeah, Donna has a good one there.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. I've got it marked.
I appreciate hanging out with people who think about this stuff occasionally.
Oh, yeah. You've come to the magical land of woo here.
I just feel all at home. It's so nice.
The magical land of woo.
Yeah.
Always hanging out with us.
I know. People act like woo is insulting. I'm like, I'm as woo as they get, right? That's not insulting. That's a compliment. Who wants to be a muggle?
Right? I'm going to join you in a little sip of water here.
Always a good thing.
I'm feeling good. Normally, hi, Magnolia. Normally, I had a little incident on this weekend that really, really pissed me off. Me personally. Starduster, welcome to SOR chat. And I took my son to one of those trampoline gyms. Okay, where everything's a trampoline inside. It's friggin' awesome. It really is. So me thinking I am 30 again, I'm going to show off for my son. And I go diving into one of these foam cube pits. So it's just it's a big pit filled with, 6-inch by 6-inch foam squares. Hi, Penny Van. How are you? And I couldn't get out. And I landed with my legs above my body. And I struggled to get out. And hey, Pardue, how you doing? And it pissed me off because I literally was having a panic attack inside of this foam pit. And I don't know if you've ever been in one of those foam pits, okay, but you can't get any grip on anything because the foam is so light, you can't grip anything to push yourself up. So the more I tried to push myself up, the more I was sinking down. So it honestly scared the daylights out of me. I started having an anxiety attack. And I literally eventually just started taking bricks and throwing them to try and get my legs at least level with my body so that way I could make myself upright. Took me 15 minutes to get out of that pit. 15 minutes. And I was so tired afterwards, I had to get help to pull me out. Okay, it was like a 4-foot, 5-foot deep of these parts, but I was so tired I couldn't push myself up. So I got really pissed off with myself because I didn't have the strength to get myself out. So I started working out again today because I was so mad over that. So mad.
How do
Don't go
kids
diving in
sound?
pits.
Scary. That sounds terrifying.
It was. It was. I will never do it again. I'll never go one of those pits again. I'll go back there to the jungle place. Uh-huh. Send in the 10-year-olds. That's right, Bill Cardwell. Hello, the lovely and gorgeous Kira. Hi, the demon. Welcome. And who else has joined us here? Starduster. And I think we're caught up. Mary R. Good to see you back here again. And thank you, Derek and Deb, for the super chats. Here comes the second half hour, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We have author, researcher, Akashic lady Lisa Barnett here with us. Her website, akashicknowing.com. Brand new book out on her website called Akasha. Let's read this a little bit.
Pretty,
here.
isn't it?
It is, honestly, it's a gorgeous cover. Gorgeous cover. You know, it says, move outside of time and space and enter the quantum field of the Akasha, where all that has happened, is happening, and will happen is energetically encoded in its domain. Woo! That's I'm not gonna lie, that's some sexy writing right there. Did you do that yourself?
I don't know. I write so much stuff. I channel so much stuff. Honestly, I couldn't tell you if I wrote that or not. This is
Yeah.
book 2. I've got 2 books this year now, right? We did this one, I think, earlier this year, and now
Yep.
it's Akasha. So I'm like,
All right. So let's get right into this because I got some serious questions before we
okay,
open this up to
let's
the audience here.
let's
Okay.
serious, right?
I have a hard time understanding and knowing if I put my critic's hat on here. Okay. I have a hard time knowing and understanding why I or anyone on this planet would sign up for a life of hell. Okay, maybe we're starving in Africa. Maybe we are born with spina bifida or some other disease that doesn't allow us to talk, walk, okay, be a part of society. Somebody who is born destitute and or beaten or raped or anything along those lines. I don't understand why any of us would sign up for this and that is part of my issue with really delving into something like the Akasha records or the Akashic records because I know if I'm given a choice, there is no bloody way I'm going to go to live a life of something like that I've seen in my personal life with friends who've been beaten by a drunken father or taken advantage of by an uncle or something along those lines.
Well, it really is probably one of the, biggest questions that clients come to me with, because people who have grown up in abusive families, who have been physically, emotionally, sexually abused, who have alcoholic or drug addicted parents, families, right, have had really nightmare. I mean, I have heard plenty of real nightmare stories that are really, beyond belief that humans, and I guess there's a little bit of a question in there, but the way the record keepers really explain it is that if you imagine that we were at some point 12th dimensional beings, and that means maybe we're these very big angelic humans, we were creator beings, we just, lived for hundreds of thousands of years and mostly, kind of hung out in this big space and that, we call the multiverse. And then we thought, let's do something a little more interesting. And over time, over a lot of time, we actually moved this planet, or let's just say, moved a planet down to a lower vibration, down from the 12th dimension to the 8th dimension. We had worlds and the 8th dimension. Well, this is okay. It's a little different, but and now I'm bored. Let's go drop down to the 6th dimension, to the 3rd dimension. Oh my God, this place we can program to have separation, to have fear, to have trauma, to have all of these experiences that we don't have any other kind of other worlds in other forms. We don't have this sort of experience. And so if you can wrap your mind around being an infinite soul who, I don't know if they actually get bored, but that's kind of how it comes across from the records, is that it's like, oh, let's do something new. Let's keep growing. Let's keep learning, right? We've created things. We've made all sorts of great stuff. We've made galaxies and beings and cute little, I believe that we were also engineered. So, right, we did, human engineering as well as engineering on all sorts of other planets, planes, and dimensions. And so we come for the experience. And because we know that we are infinite, when we make a plan, when we say, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to take this body, I'm going to join this family, there is a purpose in it in some way. And I would say that if you imagine that we do everything, we do it all, we do every side of every coin. So that means if you are in a family where you are being beaten on a regular basis, the likelihood is that you were that to someone else in another life, that you were the one who was the drunk, abusive, whatever person, dad, whoever it was, that we come to have really every experience that we, again, if you're imagining us as 12 dimensional beings that created this story, this world, this matrix, and we say, I want to learn everything. I want every experience. That's why it takes us 500, 800 lifetimes to work ourselves through these kind of energetic patterns that we call karma. Because if we are the abuser, then in the end, we will come back and experience that abuse. And because we rarely have learned how to forgive and to be the compassion that we really are coming to be, then we have those experiences again and again to learn how to forgive others, how to understand other people, to be compassionate, to be kind, to be forgiving and giving and compassionate. So we have created this hell on earth really for ourselves. And we did it in a very big energetic way a very, very long time ago. And we stay stuck because we are more interested in our own beliefs and our righteousness and our judgments than about taking care of the rest of the world and being helping.
I get that, and I appreciate that, and I think the way you put it is beautiful, especially with the ego that comes along with humanity and mankind and humankind. Okay, I don't think, and maybe this is just me, I don't think it's truly explains, and I don't know if you know how to truly explain because you're human,
Right.
why someone would choose to enter an abusive household. To me, there's no lesson there. Okay, like I can tell you something on my family, and I have no problem saying it. Okay, my family comes from a long line of alcoholism, which has which started, you know, around World War II. Okay, and and it also led to a number of black clouds hanging over the family, which I'm trying now to shift away. Okay, like my father and I were actually talking about it this weekend. And I hate to get personal because I try really hard on this show not to make it personal, but I feel I have to here. So just bear with me. I come from a family of we're able to open the door, we're able to see what's inside, we're able to like what's inside, we're able to be invited in to that little success party on the other side of that doorway. And the minute we go to take a step in, the door is slammed in our face. It's happened to my grandfather. It happened to my father. It's happened to me. I can count about 8 or 9 times, but we keep fighting. Okay. I'm still trying to figure out the lesson for something like that, which is, you always hear the story and everybody hears the story. Hard work is supposed to pay off, but we're supposed to learn a lesson to get there. Yet we see very many success stories, like one of my best friends. Okay, he grew up in a very tough household that didn't have a lot of money. There was alcoholism involved, and he is now a multimillionaire because he worked hard and he works as an investor, okay, a financial strategist, and he is now a multimillionaire with 4 beautiful children who are having a wonderful life. So I'm trying to figure out, why would we choose a path that makes life so hard here when every day we're fighting? Every day is a fight. Every day is a struggle. Every day is something where emotions are involved and we get tired. I'm tired. I know a lot of our listeners are tired.
Yeah.
So please explain to me how this works with the Akashic.
Well, the Akashic is the recording of what we have created as souls, and so it's of course very soul driven. It's not Akashic driven. Just to be clear about that. And it was interesting because of course I've done 10,000 readings over the last 30 years. God knows. Like I say, I've heard every awful story, and there is no doubt that I hit those moments where I think, I just, I can't imagine. I can't, I can't, of course, but it's not me. And so when I ask their record keepers and they give me sometimes an interesting litany of lifetimes that have connected over the last whatever 2,000 years or 10,000 years, that has somehow led this person into some of these situations. And the thing that I find fascinating and sometimes really surprising is that because as souls we are really pure light energy, and we come in sometimes to help that parent that's the alcoholic. We come in as that child saying, if only I can be enough of that love and that light that they wake up and stop drinking. If only I can help this person who's part of my soul family. So I've known them forever, and they've gotten kind of stuck in this human karmic pattern. Now, I believe there's another layer at play that makes it harder to understand. And of course, because we talk, as above, so below. But I also believe we have an energy of an inverted universe, which means that I believe in our basic universe, everything is good, everything is source energy. We can go really kind of wrong and maybe kill people and all sorts of stuff, but there's no evil in us. There's no evil in souls in this universe, the uninverted universe. I believe that energy has literally been made to be inverted into like a dark universe. And so we have dark beings in our world where that wasn't part of the original Earth, part of the original planet. And so to me, it's kind of like the thing that explains it is a little bit more the fact that we have been stuck in a karmic pattern, a karmic wheel for at least 10,000 years, if not a lot longer. And so energetically, again, if you can kind of go to, and it's hard. I mean, I study these things. I talk about, in the Galactic Records about some of these different lifetimes and some of these aspects. But I have to go all the way back and think, when we decided as 12th dimensional beings of light to have this experience, we didn't bring evil into it. We wrote programs. We tied the earth down to this third dimension. We made life very, very, very dense and very hard physically and challenging. And of course, because we wrote amnesia into our soul's plan and our program. So no one remembers that, that you are an infinite soul. People believe that you're nothing more than one little body, one little life. To me, that's kind of the most depressing kind of idea, to think this is it. And then, people blame God that, God's will, right? So God's will that you're a millionaire and that I'm living on a street in Delhi, right? I mean, that doesn't make any sense either. So when we start to look at the fact, to me, that I have read these records for almost 30 years now, that I have seen again and again a long kind of pattern of learning and growth and wanting to be of service and wanting to support other people and wanting to help them out. And often we pick these really challenging families because we as a soul say, I'm going to come in and help wake you up. I'm going to come in and, be that love that's going to change your life, that's going to pull you out of, being that alcoholic. And so I think there's a lot of things that we do that end up turning into really horrific lifetimes that we did as a soul to be the light, to be the love, that we did it in a positive way. And then there's a whole nother interesting thing. And I just had this experience today because I was doing a reading for a woman who had some really dark curses back in her family, like great grandfather, something like that. And it was interesting in the record. So that great grandfather cursed his brother, and then it kept coming down through the family. And so the families were literally cursed, and curses are real things energetically. It's something that's possible to do. And so, and then the souls would come back into the family to try and undo it. So that not that great grandfather, because he was the one who did the curse and was probably more of some sort of evil being, or I don't know what was up with him, but the great grandfather would come back in as his son, or not son, but grandson. And, everyone's trying to undo this ancestral lineage curse and this trauma. And as we know, often abuse is passed down, in a family, again, kind of ancestrally, because there are patterns, there's things we teach, there's feelings and beliefs and curses. And so it was fascinating that when the woman that I was working with kind of had this epiphany about the curse and how it had affected the whole family, she could energetically, because she's powerful and clear and awake enough, energetically see that, release that, kind of forgive that, and that can literally ripple back through a whole family, a whole ancestral lineage. And so it's pretty phenomenal how complex and convoluted we are. And, what I've seen in the records in these different kinds of ways. So,
Okay. So if the records are the past, the present, and the future, how do they know what we are already going to be doing?
so because in that quantum field, I like to imagine it, probably the best way I can wrap my brain around it is that I'm in the middle of a hollow ball. So often when I go into the Akashic Records, I'm not in a library, I'm in the middle of a hollow ball. Okay. And it's, if you can imagine me floating in the middle, with my client who I'm doing a reading for, and they've asked their questions about what is blocking me. How come I can't create this business? How come no matter what I do, like you were saying, the door is always slammed in our face? What is that? And so I ask the record keepers, and they will start to pop out lifetimes. Usually the way I see it is they're mostly past lives, but lifetimes where there has been a challenge, there has been a trauma, there has been something that has perpetuated the fear, the doubt, the hatred, the judgment, the anger. It could be murder, right? It could be these kinds of patterns. We are, when we're in human bodies, we have these crazy emotions, again, that we don't actually have in other places or dimensions in this same sort of way. And so when I can see these lives and pull them out, I can actually heal those lives and clear the trauma, clear the emotional pain, start to shift the energy that this person has brought into their life now. So same kind of as the future, although the interesting thing is that nothing is written in stone. In the same way, if I can go in and change a past life, which I can do, and I can see that affect my client, you can also change a future life. And to me, one of the greatest things to do with future lives is to ask them for the information. Like if they got somewhere you really want to go, ask them how they got there, right? Help connect me, give me that information, give me those connections, help me to make it, easier to that place, build that bridge for me. How else did they get there? So you can kind of imagine this future and present self going back and forth with this teaching to help that person, right? So your millionaire friend, right? Who knows what gift did he have? What future self did he talk to? What was it that he brought in with him? What could he reclaim from his Akashic Records, consciously or unconsciously? What gifts or talents did he have that he had honed in, 20 other lifetimes that he brought in that made it possible for him, one out of, millions, to go from being a poor kid or an abused kid or, from this kind of downtrodden family to creating millions. And so this energy, or a lot of this information, really is written about in our own Akashic Records.
Well, we're going to learn more in hour number 2 of where they are located, what they're all about, who writes them, and everything like that with Lisa Barnett, our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, as we're about to enter hour number 2. And yeah, you can go to our website, akashicknowing.com, and go get her new book, Akasha, Understanding the Akasha, Spiritual Experiences of Accessing Your Soul Wisdom. What is soul wisdom? It's time for us to find out. We've got to wait another half an hour here on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. We will be right back. All right, we are clear.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm going to just put you in the green room here, and I'm going to quickly just do my little thing.
Perfect.
That I
I'll
do,
do the
and then
same.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
Okay, we'll be right back, people. Did any of you hear the awesome sirens while Lisa was talking? Big horn. Let's see. Let's say hello to Dogface Simon in Australia. How are you? Who else is joining us here? I think that's it for new. All right. Philip Baca, how you doing? Thank you to both Deb and Derek for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support. We will get to your questions as well coming up here in the next hour. Hi, Nikki in Seattle. How are you? No, I didn't have any food, Derek. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us, will you, at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Let's take a look here. Palilalia. Palilalia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. From the website, akashicknowing.com, Lisa Barnett is here. She has a great book out, just came out, called Akasha. Yeah, you can get it on her website. It's a lovely book. Gorgeous cover. Anytime you can combine blue, gold, and purple. Oh, that wins with me. Wins with me. Thank you, Lisa, for being here. How are you?
Oh, good. Always so fun to get to have these conversations. So I appreciate it, Dave.
Oh, I appreciate you being here as well. Okay, so we know that these writings just happen. We know that there are beings, entities of the purest of souls who are guarding these. We don't know where they're located, but they're out there somewhere watching us. Okay, how do we know that this is our real, true, divine way of becoming more spiritually pure?
Well, I have never said it that way. So I do believe what the record keepers have said to me is that it is one of probably hundreds or thousands of paths to awakening, to a greater consciousness. And that is because when you start to research just yourself, just your own library, just all of these lives that you have had and all the things that you have been and done, just here on Earth, not even going galactic here, you start to realize, one, that we are so much more than we think we are. And two, we are also so much more rotten than we probably would think we are. I mean, it always have a weird sense of humor, but in some ways, sometimes I'll do a reading for a client and they'll wonder why this person is so terrible to them and mean to them and treats them really badly and all this. And the record keepers will say, well, they were brothers in a past life and she killed him. And, he's still pissed off about it. And they've come to resolve that anger, that hatred from that life. And they're not doing a very good job of it because they are still fighting and judging and, being unkind to each other. And the client, the funny thing to me is that the client, instead of understanding or hearing the part about, you came to really work this through, to do your own forgiveness work, to see each other as for who they really are, not just, I want you to be this kind of perfect person, and if you're not, I'm going to hate you, or I'm going to criticize the heck out of you because I hate everything you do. Right? Instead of hearing, you came to do forgiveness work, to figure this out, to release some of these old patterns of judgment and anger and hatred, they only hear that they killed somebody and they're like, I couldn't have killed somebody. That's not possible. And you're like, well, actually, it is very possible. And you didn't just do it once, you've killed lots of people because you've already lived, 500 lives here on this earth. And war alone, let's just say, we kill a lot of people on this planet. So it's about understanding why we're here and what we're trying to learn and how we can be of greater service to humanity in general, by really sharing our gifts and helping other people, right? Being that compassion, being that love, that forgiveness. So, it's interesting because the reason we get stuck in these patterns is because we can only hear so much at a time usually, and it might take 10 lives to figure out that one pattern.
Okay. So let's just say that you're one of the bad guys from World War II and you've now moved on, you've reincarnated. W- Would in this lifetime would you have to pay the price for what you did in the last lifetime, or do you use that as a stepping stone to improving the next one so you're not that person again?
Oh, good question. So it really depends on what that life was like in World War II. So you could have been a soldier. Maybe you were a Nazi soldier and you were doing what you were told to do, and you were killing people because you were told to kill them or you would be killed. So that's, kind of one type of karmic pattern compared to somebody who really enjoys killing people and being mean and beating people and hurting and harming people. And so they're very happy to be running a concentration camp and have their way with hurting people. They would be very different karmic patterns and very different lifetimes going forward. So if you were a soldier kind of in the situation that you could not figure out how to free yourself from, and I would venture to say that there is usually a choice. And, I'm not saying that all the choices are good. I mean, the choice might be, you can kill that person or you can be killed. I wouldn't want to make that choice. I'm sure I've done it plenty of times, but I wouldn't want to do it in the moment. But there are choices, and I think that as people, as humans, we've often given up the belief that we have a choice. We say, I'm stuck, I'm the victim, this is being done to me, this is happening to me, I don't have a choice. And there usually actually is in some way. I'm not going to say it's going to be always easy or simple, but there are other paths, other ways to change into your life, to small steps, opening, keep opening the doors to the right to get off of that path that you're stuck on. So yeah, sometimes the karmic pattern is, I was that really nasty, vindictive person who loved to hurt, harm, and kill people and watch them suffer. And it wouldn't be surprising if you chose, let me just remind you, this is not punishment. Karmic patterns are about your soul's growth. You would choose to say, well, wow, I was pretty out of control there. I think I want to see what that feels like. Maybe I will be born into a very abusive family. and have
Mm.
that experience. Or maybe you're born in some other country where there's, wars and slaves, and you choose that life because you're like, okay, I've had the power, I misused it terribly. I want to see what it feels like to have no power.
That makes sense. All right, let's get to some audience questions here. Let's start off with the other sider. Do you follow Alan Watts and his work?
um I absolutely know who he is. He was, well, let's see. He was around here in California. It was people like Alan Watts and Baba Ram Dass that got me on my spiritual path at 14.
All right. Justin would like to know, could you talk about the sovereign integral process?
I don't know what that means to you, right? So all sorts of people talk about different um, things, make funny titles or make up things. So I can talk about being the sovereign of your life and why it's important, but I don't think that's the same process that you're speaking of. Is it uh, something that someone teaches that I might be familiar with? And
No idea. All right, let's go to another one here. Let's go to Simon. How can regular people develop this further in getting to know their Akashic record?
well, that's one of those things that all those people who become my students ask me. They were like, oh, how can I learn how to do this? And I say, you can take my class that starts September 18th online. So I have channeled again, I've downloaded from the Akashic Record Keepers a 5-step wisdom prayer system, which gives us a simple vibrational key with kind of simple, concise steps. I'm kind of strangely more linear than you would probably imagine. I like things that work out. I don't want to sit and meditate for 25 years and hope I get there. So when the record keeper said, will you help, bring this information back to humanity and teach people how to do this? I was like, yeah, sure, if you give me an easy way to do it. And so they did. So 5 simple steps. I teach it in I've got a 4-day upcoming workshop online, and you can check that out at akashicknowing.com. And there'll be one in September and another one in October.
All right, let's continue on with our audience questions here. Donna is asking, is it possible to not have to reincarnate anymore?
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I think this is my last life. That's what I'm hearing. I'm done. But I've also reincarnated 1,000 freaking times on this planet. So I think I've done my due diligence. But yes, as a matter of fact, there's some interesting things happening because, again, of this greater galactic alignment that we're going through. There is more light, higher vibrational energy coming to the planet from ever before. And what we as light workers, as people who are conscious of these aspects, are working on is deprogramming some of the programs that keep us stuck in these karmic patterns. And so the good news is that karma has actually been completed in the Akashic Records, in the etheric energy. And so now it's kind of up to us as humans to kind of figure it out, to turn into nice people and take care of our families and our communities and our planet and stop polluting, and killing each other. And then we don't have to come back anymore.
Why do you know this is your last life?
I asked in the records, and yeah, I've asked in the records, and I've actually asked like other people randomly that who also have access into the Akasha to ask for me, because of course we can fool ourselves, but I've weirdly been told quite a few times that this is it. And so
what are you gonna do then? Sit up in the stars and watch soap operas with great wine, or what?
I think that would be a good idea. I think that sounds like fun. I want to go back to being a creator being, because as the multiverse is expanding, as we're creating more universes, I literally think that we, as these big galactic beings, get to do some of that. So I want to go back to creating planets and stars and worlds, because I think that's much more fun.
Okay, let us move on here. Let's go to Neil. Where is the Akashic Library?
It is part of the quantum field, which is part of source energy. So it is not in a physical place, it's not on the planet. It is actually in the quantum field. So it's actually accessible to everyone in that sort of way. You don't have to get a plane ticket.
Hmm. Okay, so it's everywhere but nowhere at the same time.
Yeah, quantum field. I don't know that we could go out there and find it on a planet. I do believe, according to the record keepers, that there had been some physical libraries that were kind of big energetic libraries on the earth that were much more earth libraries back in the day. But I think they've all been destroyed now. And so the only ones are really the quantum galactic Akashic libraries in the Akasha. It's a section of energy.
Okay, let's go to the Doug Shelby. He would like to know about the awesome necklace you were wearing earlier.
I know. It's like, it's going to make my neck hurt if I keep wearing it. Awesome necklace. It is a necklace designed by a woman named Kate King. It is a lab grown stone, so they're not ridiculously, expensive. And it is a yellow sapphire, which is very much about creating abundance in the world, in your life, right? Abundance of all kinds, vitality and joy, love. I'm bringing an abundance of the Akashic Records out to humanity. So that's my abundance necklace. Kate King.
Okay, and let us continue. Thomas would like to know, what do you think of Edgar Cayce's take on the Akashic Records?
I think I don't know if there's anything in particular that you're referring to, but I think Edgar Cayce was a phenomenal channel of the Akashic Records because he did it in a complete sleeping trance, right? So he went into a sleeping hypnotic trance. His wife had to ask the questions. He had a secretary writing down the answers. And so he was completely out of his kind of human filter mind. And so I believe that he was really able to channel some of this bigger galactic records, like the records of science and different things like that. And so I think it was very phenomenal. And he was one of the first people, and almost only people in the last 1,000 years, who had a really good connection and good grasp on the Akasha. Otherwise, the only people who could access the records after pulling the Akasha away from Earth were really the mystics, or, the oracles, the seers. And so, yeah, I think Edgar Cayce did a great service to humanity by starting to bring that back in the 20s and 30s and 40s.
Okay, let's move on to Millennium. Can we only see our own records, or can we access the universal Akashic Records?
Oh, great question. So for most of us, it's easiest to start by reading your own records and kind of figuring out, because they're big and there's a lot to learn in there. Now, and again, it's kind of an energy vibration frequency thing. So the higher your frequency is, the easier it is to move into these bigger records, like a universal record or a galactic record. Now, we are only allowed to access our own records or to read someone else's records with specific permission. And there is some truth in that also about some of the universal records. But I believe the way the record keepers explain it is that if you go into, say, the records of science and you say, can you give me a cure for cancer? If you are the person who can access that information and actually download it, then you would actually get a cure for cancer. But most of us are not that person. So the way I'm understanding it at this time in history, and I believe, of course, as we awaken, as we move out of the energy that we're kind of stuck in on our planet right now, as we start to move into the fourth and eventually into the fifth dimension, into higher energies, then it will be very easy, or a lot easier, to access some of these universal Akashic records and records of planets, records of science, records of really that could be helpful, I think, in so many bigger ways for humanity.
2 minutes ago, before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour, Lisa Barnett is our guest tonight. Let's go to Justin's question. Why do we have such a fear of death, and our existence will just cease in all forms if we apparently knew that we're eternal?
Well, part of, again, this whole programming that I'm talking about, when we programmed this world, we wanted to play this game. We wanted to have amnesia. We totally wanted to believe that we were separate, that we were alone, that we'd been abandoned by God, that, that we had one life and we needed to go beg, from the priests to forgive us, right? And so there's a whole piece of that is a program that's written into the earth. And then there's a whole overlay of that has come down with religions over the last, 2,000, 3,000 years. And so accessing the Akashic records, you can really see that you are infinite and that you will never die, that we are eternal. And to me, it's, again, one of those great gifts to realize the truth of who you really are as an infinite soul and not just a little human struggling along.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. So with that, do those who are the keepers of the Akashic records, do they know your struggle? Do they know that when you talk to them, you're going to say, point A in my life wasn't fair, or why did point B have to happen?
The way they say it is they say, we meet you where you are. They know that when you wrote that whole plan before you embodied, that you put challenges in that plan, that you put gifts and talents, and you put, support with humans in there, and struggle to learn from, to grow from. So, of course they know it, but they're not just going to give you all the answers until you're ready for it. So you have to ask the question and be ready and listen to the answer and take the steps that they may offer you, or the concepts or ideas that they offer you, like doing some forgiveness work around things. And so, they are there for us. It is really, they are there in support of us for our whole life or lifetimes.
Good way to end this half hour, as we have Lisa Barnett here for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. Her website, AkashicKnowing.com. Make sure you go check it out. All of her 4 books are there, including her latest one, Akasha, Common Sentience. Go get it now. Now I tell you, Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. I had a frog in my throat there. Darn it. Right. There we go. Sorry, I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything in the chat room here.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, I'm kind of reading the chat too. It's very interesting. Like,
Oh, yeah. These people in our chat room are absolute brainiacs. Absolute brainiacs.
looks like a great community of people who really know each other, which is so cool.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I would say we're very lucky, and I say that with all beautiful love and respect to our wonderful people.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And I mean, outside of certain people, like, well, let's just pick one, like Doug Shelby or Derek Galloway. Those are the type of people you want to trip on a sidewalk, right? But the rest of them are pretty good people.
Pretty okay.
Hey, the unknown, how you doing? I love that story, Lord William, by the way. Met the ATs at age 11. By the way, if you could all do me a big favor, if you're on Twitter or Facebook, go over to Grant Cameron's page. Okay. His mother passed away this morning or earlier today. And, I think he would love to hear from all of us here at Spaced Out Radio about how much he means to us, and send him a bunch of love and healing and a beautiful send off to his mama. So I think it would be absolutely great if you could all do that. I've put it out on Twitter. You can respond on there. I haven't put anything on Facebook. Grant has. So if you guys want, just follow that up and send Grant some love and healing, if you don't mind, for him and his family over this sad day for him. Debster, let me check if I got I don't have your question, Debbie. All I got is, don't patronize us, Dave. Why have I put that up there? I don't know. Retype it, Deb, and I will get it. By the way, reminder. Oh, hi, Donald Dean. I will not be here tomorrow night. Our good friend Marquise Williams will be hosting Science Bob tomorrow. And yeah, I am going to Whistler for the night. My daytime boss has said, we got a project we got to take care of in Whistler. You're coming with me. There is no choice. So I'm like, you're buying dinner, boss. He's like, I'll buy the hotel room too. So, yeah. I got a free trip to Whistler tomorrow. That'll be fun. I hate the mountain pass we got to go through to get there. What a horrible, horrible road. But we will get there in beautiful timing. I haven't even packed. Oh, well. Oh, well.
For a night, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, we have about 1 minute here. All I know is that I'm going to make sure that my boss is buying me a steak and lobster. That's all I know. I have been to the no, I've never been to the Banff Springs Fairmont. I've been to the Whistler Fairmont. Hi, Jerry Carter, GeoCompass Explorers. Welcome to SOR chat. Pixie, I think I did get your question. Yeah, I got yours. Deborah, type your question if you don't mind. Now I have to look out where Guyana is. All right, we got 10 seconds. Hi, that's beautiful there. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to say that we always have our archives for free. We'll never, ever charge for our archives. We're not going to be that show. No. So you get them for free. Just do us the favor. The only thing we ask in return, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell if you go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the Newswire. Check out our swag. We're on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. From AkashicKnowing.com, author, researcher, and beautiful spirit herself, Lisa Barnett, is here until the top of the hour. And Lisa, thank you so much for being so generous with your time with us tonight.
Thank you, Dave. It is really, really fun. I don't get to have these as conversations very often, so I love it. I appreciate everybody's questions and yours, and so thank you.
You're very welcome, and we like it when you're here. We do. Let's continue. Our audience likes you too, and let's continue with their questions. Let's start off with Derek here. Do you know the origins of the Akashic Records? Can you tell us, please, and thank you?
Derek, the way I hear it is it's actually kind of part of this quantum field or the energy of source. It is always recording. And so I don't think it was made or it started. I hear from the record keepers that it's always been here. So if we could ever access that one about the Big Bang or what the heck ever happened, that would be cool.
All right, let's continue on then. Let us go to Peter. Does the Akashic Records record our thoughts? If so, I'm really embarrassed.
I am going to say no. They always say everything is recorded, right? All of your lives and your emotions and your kind of stories, but not your thoughts, not that much detail. So when I go in and I would do a reading for someone and they ask about, what's blocking me, or, I had this kind of challenging childhood and can we clear some of that trauma, which is actually a fabulous way to use the Akashic Records because there is, again, no time and space in the quantum field. I can go back into all of these traumatic events that many of us have, especially if we are born into a challenging family. And we can energetically clear and release a lot of that emotional pain, physical pain, spiritual pain, trauma. And it really frees up that energy that's been stuck and kind of locked down and constricted in our energy field and our chakra system so that we can actually feel different and start to make new choices and move forward with greater ease because all of a sudden we've lost that fear. We're not afraid that if we say something or do something that whatever alcoholic parent is going to beat us to death. And so when we clear that trauma from the beatings, then it makes it easier to go forward. But no, not your thoughts. So
what is the connection between the Akashic Records and extraterrestrials?
So because there are galactic records and the record keepers talk about these different worlds, these different planets, just like I was saying earlier about Sirius or Arcturus or the Pleiades or Lyra or any, Andromeda now is going to come crashing into us eventually. And they always say, we have been that. We have lived those lives. We have aspects. And I think it's helpful to realize that we have a huge soul, and the way that you make sense of, no time and space. So how can I be here now, and how can I be in those other 10 past lives that I want to do healing on, and in the future? Well, your humongous soul has probably thousands and thousands of aspects that are embodied. And so, Jumbo Soul, I'm one aspect, Lisa's one aspect, but I have an aspect that's a golden lion being from Lyra. I have an aspect actually that's a mermaid from another water world. And I have aspects of, the more Syrian blue beings and Arcturian beings. And, I've had all those lives too. So we're not either or. We're not humans being visited by aliens. We are humans that are sometimes being visited by another aspect of yourself.
Okay. Let us continue. Let's go to Justin. Do you think the writers like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis were well aware of the Akashic Record? Their writing implies it, but I'm not sure. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, great question. I hmm, I'm just asking the record keepers because why not? Because I can. Tolkien, interestingly, feels like he had a lot more I'm going to say out of body experiences, the way I'm hearing it, which is he did a lot of astral travel. He actually did access other lives in other realms and dimensions. I don't think he had any idea, really. He might have thought he had weird dreams or something. But I don't think either of them were really aware of the Akashic Records, because really at that time in history, they were kind of long gone from the earth. But I believe they were accessing that and actually memories and aspects of themselves. And, they're really, okay, there really are unicorns and dragons and things like that in other dimensions. They're just not in 3D. So maybe by the time we finally get to the 5th dimension or the 6th dimension, we'll see them again.
How many dimensions are there?
I have no idea, actually. I have a connection to the 12th dimension and the 14th dimension, but I think there's, I don't know, so much more that I haven't even ventured into or studied.
All right. Let us go to another question here. This one is from our good listener, Pixie Lara. Would you say that deja vu is actually us remembering or tapping into the Akashic Records or something else?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I don't know how I'm just trying to figure out how to say this or explain this. So I'm going to say that deja vu, again, because there is no time and space, and if everything is always happening at once, I do believe we kind of slip out of what we consider time space here. And I think we slip into other times sometimes. And that's what deja vu is. And I think you could also say, in a different sort of way, that that we are kind of reading forward in the book. Like I jumped and read a chapter or two ahead, and so I kind of know what's going to happen. And then when it happens, I'm like, oh, I did that before. And so I think you could kind of look at it either way. They're similar, and I don't know that we have the words to explain it. So we're jumping outside of time in either kind of version, whether I'm reading the records ahead of time or I'm actually jumping timelines into the future. Same difference, and we do that.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to, let's see here. Dirt Road. I was shown how to access the records. Now, how do you get people to believe you? How do you come across this?
Well, I practice being believable. I don't know what else to say, right? Um, because I've been given a very simple 5-step wisdom prayer system, because I'm actually relatively linear and logical, because I don't think, although I'm sure my children laugh at me because I don't think I'm that woo, and they laugh and they're like, "Oh, seriously, mother, you don't think you're woo?" So, we all have different views of ourselves. But because I have a very linear kind of process that I have been teaching now for 20 whatever years, um, people believe me, because I've written 4 books, because I talk on so many shows. Um, People have come to trust, right? Trust, understand, believe me. So, and it's an easy process to teach. So I think that also helps.
Excellent. Okay, let's continue on. Let's go over to our good friend Palladium again. Can you speak about the Akashic healing centers?
Oh, interesting question. I can talk about quantum healing through the Akashic Records. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I don't know if you can type it back in really quickly, what that means to you, Akashic Healing Centers, if that's a place you're familiar with. Is it on the planet? Is it other worlds, right? There's a lot of stuff out there to know about. So you guys are all putting me through my paces.
We can get back to that. I'll see
Yeah,
that in. Let's go to
yeah.
Jenny while we wait. Okay. She's asking for Deb. This is actually Deb's question that I somehow skipped over. What is life like between reincarnation?
Oh, well, that's another great question. So it kind of depends on where we are. So I believe that there is, so you write a whole plan, right? This is I think this book we were talking about last time, your soul
Yeah.
has a plan, right? And you write this big complex plan with soul contracts and karma and challenges and yummy stuff and gifts and talents. And then after you leave your body, you're going to be like, you're going to go back and kind of review. How did I do? Did I love the people I meant to love? Did I support and help people? Did I, really share the gifts and talents I want to share? Was I a good friend? Was I a good human? Was I forgiving and kind and loving? And I think our purpose is honestly a whole lot simpler than most of us believe, because I really believe it is very much about love, right? Coming to that place, peace, love, forgiveness, awakening. So I believe that some people go back and go to kind of school, like school, between lives school, like, ah, how did I mess that up again? How come I've done this 10 lifetimes and I keep missing it? I keep forgetting. I don't get the right trigger. I don't get the right answer in school. And so we do a little bit of studying up. We talk to other souls. We work with some of the souls that are also hanging out. We spend a lot of time with our soul family members, the souls that we incarnated, the original group of souls you incarnated with is your soul family. And you hang out together through many, many, many lifetimes, all lifetimes, really. Not all together all the time, but off and on. So we hang out with those people, and I believe we really just kind of chill and enjoy and be kind of angels from the other side and support our families and our loved ones. And so I think there's a lot of that in that time between. And I also believe that a lot of us go off and go more galactic again. Like, I'm leaving Earth, I want to go back to Sirius because there's a cool watery world there that I happen to like because I enjoy being a mermaid. So I think I hang out there a lot.
Let's move on to who's next? Gizmo. What's the difference between old souls and new ones?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So the best way I can understand it is again, as the whatever, the quantum field is expanding, things are always being created, right? Galaxies are being created, planets are being created, beings in bodies are being created. And so we individuate from source at different times in some kind of history, which anyway, I don't know how else to say that better. So some souls have been around since maybe that beginning of Earth, that first big explosion or implosion or whatever it was that actually ended up creating the energy that could reproduce. And some are still being created today. So old souls, young souls, new souls. And sometimes we might be old souls and new to Earth. And so that's kind of a different story. And often we as old souls take on younger souls to help and support them and teach them and mentor them. And so sometimes those are the people who are challenging in life, and we can't figure out, how we have a child that's so, unconscious when we're conscious, or whatever that might be. And it's sometimes because in a sense, we like adopt other souls to mentor them and help them and support them and bring them along with us.
Do the beings up above, wherever the Akashic records are, do they care about humanity? Do they care about humans?
Yes, because they're pure source energy. They're pure love. And so they're just really pure goodness. And so they do care about everyone, everything. That's why they're in service to us. They really say, I'm going to hang out here and be in service to you for a bunch of lifetimes and try and help you get your act together and wake up. So
I can definitely see that. Let's go over to Anna's question. And that is, do you agree that a certain amount of souls are born just male or female?
No. If I'm understanding your question, no. The way the record keepers say it is that we all split it up to some extent. And again, if you imagine that you live 600 or 800 lives here, you would not have 800 lives as a man or 800 lives as a woman. Now, you might have 200 as a woman and 600 as a man, right? You doesn't mean you're 50-50. You may prefer one body over the other. But we do always mix it up. We like to mix it up, and we spend a lot of time here. And so that adds to its interest.
Very true. Okay, and let's continue on. We got Justin once again. Oh, yes, that one. I apologize about that one. Millennium is asking, do you perform QHHT, or is that a different type of reading?
It must be a different type of reading because I don't know what that is.
All right. It's quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Oh yeah, no. So I do the quantum healing, but when I do readings for people, I don't hypnotize them. I open their records with their permission. I have a conversation with their Akashic record keepers based on the questions they're asking me. And then I just channel and give them the information that the record keepers are telling me. And so I'm in the quantum field and I can go outside of time and space to heal things, but it's not hypnosis.
All right, let's continue on. I think I got one or two more here for you.
Oh,
One random guy is asking, Lisa, are you aware of how certain dark forces like reptilians have altered the Akashic records to their benefit?
Yeah, interesting question. So I am aware of these kind of very dark forces, again, more of an inverted dark energy. I am going to say that no, I am not aware that they have been. The Akashic record keepers have said that they have shut down, pulled away, removed access to the Akashic records to anyone, like they did for humans during the Dark Ages, and for anyone else who is intending to misuse them. So these beings are powerful. They are pure source energy, divine beings. And I believe that they are keeping the Akasha safe for humanity.
Is it the fear that humans will break it?
No, we misuse it, because we misuse it for our own gain. It's not that we'll go in there and say, how can I win this war? How can I, get away with this crime? So that's misuse, right? What can I know about this person's records? And they won't let you in to do that. So, yeah, it's not that it's going to break the records, but they don't want us to misuse them.
All right. We got about 3 minutes to go here. Let's sneak in one more question here. Where is it here? From Vanessa. Do some souls follow others through time?
Yes, that's what I would say is part of your soul family. So we started out, we're born in a little basket with about 50 or so souls. Interesting thing is that as we go along through time, we kind of break into, so many splinters, so many aspects of us. But we are often also running with this same group of soul family members. And so we are, brothers and sisters in one life, and fathers and sons in another life, and we're married in another life, and we're grandparents and grandchildren, so we do again and again and again throughout time. Have groups of souls, have a group of souls that we always hang out with. And plus lots of other souls that we've gotten into karmic patterns around, who we've made contracts with, who we want to learn from or teach. So it's a mix. The people in our lives are a mix of soul family and just other souls we've written soul contracts with.
I want to say a big thank you, Lisa, for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you back on the show, and I can't wait to do it again. For our audience and their benefit, could you please tell us about where we can find your books, more information on you, and how to get in touch?
Absolutely. I'd love to. So my website is akashicknowing.com, and you can see how you spell Akashic Knowing up there, but it's one word.com. And you'll see all 4 of my books. As a matter of fact, my newest book, Akasha. So if you go onto my website, you will get 4 free gifts when you purchase the book. So if you are interested and want to get the book anyway, do it through my website so that you get the 4 gifts. I do Akashic Record readings and healing sessions for people still. So you'll also find that under Akashic consultations or Akashic readings on my website. And I, like I said, have a class coming up starting September 18th. It will be 2 days a week, just for 2 weeks. So I'm trying to make it more compact. It's about 16 hours. So it's a deep dive into the Akashic Record with my 5-step wisdom prayer system and dozens of healing tools and tools that the record keepers have given me over this last 25 years. So you will find all of that really and so much more on my website. So thank you so much, Dave. It has been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for the amazing questions and all the love. So I greatly appreciate you all.
Thank you, Lisa Barnett. Very much appreciate your time. Coming up next, we're going to go Among the Missing with Steve Stockton. Then Robin McRae will join us for the Cryptid Report. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Thank you, Lisa. Very much appreciate you, my dear.
Okay, appreciate you. Bye, Dave.
Take care, okay? I'm going to take a quick break here. I will be right back. And Robin should be jumping in here anytime. All right. Where's that Super Duke? There he is. Super Duke. Super Duke. Oh, Robin McRae is yawning. We must have woken her up. Mm-hmm. All right, we got 30 seconds. Thank you tonight to Lord, William, C.S., Vaughn, W. Decker, Derek, and Deb for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. It's a great way to support what we do. Also, leaving a note, giving us a thumbs up, thumbs down also helps. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Get your swag in, and it's a lot of good stuff. Hey, if you got swag from us, take a picture. Send it our way, please.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Palalalia. Palalalia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is that time of the night where we bring in Steve Stockton from the YouTube channel Among the Missing to tell us another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Esther Parr, a professor of human geography, studied 45 missing persons and found that disappearing on purpose is difficult. Parr explains that most people who intentionally go missing only stay missing for a few weeks. Even though it may seem like a short time for someone to start a new life, it is rather long when officials actively search and have limited resources, as Parr explains. When people vanish for their own reasons, they are called maliciously missing, people who decide they do not want to be found. There are several ways in which people may try to disappear. Some may fake their own death by staging an accident or leaving evidence suggesting they are deceased. Others may alter their identity by changing their name and personal information, like their social security number or driver's license. Some may disconnect from their loved ones and live in isolation. Alternatively, they may seek companionship by joining a group or followership. Lastly, some may start a new life in a different place or live off the grid in seclusion. First up, Alexandra Greenwald. On Wednesday, October 29, 2014, 10-year-old Alexandra Greenwald disappeared from her Rio Rancho, New Mexico home. Her disappearance was reported the following morning, and missing person flyers were widely circulated throughout the city. While some speculated that she may have run away, many feared that she had been abducted. The case received national attention as search parties scoured the nearby desert with the help of local and state police, the FBI, and concerned neighbors. Police speculated Alexander may have run away after a heated argument with her mother, Catherine Allen. After going to bed around 10 p.m., Alexander allegedly changed out of her pajamas, packed 2 bags, and snuck out the back door of her family's home. She may have been trying to make it to her father's home, 60 miles away in Madrid, New Mexico. To the relief of many, Alexander returned home unharmed 3 days after going missing. She said she'd run away on her own accord and was not kidnapped. When questioned about how she survived in the desert for 3 days, she credited her survival to eating apples and receiving help from animals, such as lizards and coyotes. However, Alexander did not elaborate on how else the animals helped her. The family has not fully disclosed details about Alexander's disappearance and safe return. It remains unclear where she was while missing, why search efforts were unsuccessful, and how she returned home unharmed despite allegedly being exposed to the elements for several days. Next, we have Raymond Roth. In July of 2012, Raymond Roth disappeared while at a Long Island beach. His then 22-year-old son, Jonathan Roth, called 911 to report that his father had, quote, gone missing in the waves, end quote. Despite a search operation by the Coast Guard, police, and volunteers, no trace of Raymond was found, and he was presumed to have perished. However, about a week later, Raymond himself was stopped for speeding in South Carolina and arrested for attempting to defraud his life insurance company of over $400,000 by faking his own death. The plot was discovered when prosecutors said Raymond's wife, Ivana, who had been planning her husband's funeral, stumbled on emails between father and son discussing the plan's details. As a result, he was sentenced to prison for a maximum of 7 years and ordered to pay more than $36,000 in restitution to the Coast Guard and Nassau County Police. Raymond told the judge he was sorry for what he did and wasn't doing good mentally. He added that he had no intention of going back to New York. In 2014, 17 months after reporting his father missing, Jonathan Roth admitted to helping his father fake his death. Jonathan said he was coerced into participating in the scam, which prosecutors said his father crafted to get a substantial life insurance payout. Jonathan pled guilty to conspiracy arising from the scam. Next up, we have Esther Beadle. Esther Beadle left her shared house at 10 p.m. on Friday, January 29, 2016, and failed to return. Esther was a journalist for the Oxford Mail, and her disappearance was recounted in a 2021 article by Francisco Garcia in The Guardian. According to Garcia, when Esther did not meet her friend in London the next day, her loved ones became concerned. A multitude of tweets were posted within hours, providing a description of her and requesting any information about her last known whereabouts. The next day, while trying to remain hidden in a travel lodge, Esther realized how much attention she was getting online. People talked about her on social media, shared her personal information, and proposed theories as to why she left. Someone even tweeted about which tabloid would pay the most for her story. Esther hoped for seclusion, but her phone was inundated with frantic messages and calls from relatives, strangers, and even her 9th grade geography teacher. On Sunday, January 31, Esther visited St. Thomas Hospital near Westminster Bridge and requested to see the mental health crisis team. According to Esther, quote, I knew that I didn't want anybody to know where I was going. I just knew I wanted to be away from existence, I suppose. I booked the hotel on Expedia while I sat in my living room chatting to my housemate, telling me everything was fine, that I was going to be fine, end quote. After Esther's return, she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, a mental health condition often associated with stigma and misunderstanding. Esther now advocates for mandatory return interviews for people who leave intentionally but come back home to help them understand the pressures that led to their disappearance and hopefully prevent similar situations in the future.
And we say thank you to Steve Stockton for another great story tonight as he kicks off hour number 3 of this show each and every night on the Mighty SOR. And if you want more, just go to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Among the Missing. So that way you can hit subscribe and listen to as many of those really cool stories that you like. From the missing to the mountains, where we look for hiding Bigfoot and other monsters, that are out there. Filling in for the vacationing Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio, here's Robin McRae. Super Duke, the Cryptid Report with Super Duke. Robin McRae, it's nice to have you here, my friend. How you doing?
I am doing good. I love being here every Tuesday. I'm going to miss you when Duke gets back.
I know. Where are you at? Trying to find. I'm going to get you to turn your volume down on the speaker a little bit because
My what?
I'm getting some feedback.
I don't know why. Is that better?
Yeah, that should be better.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Weird.
It's the same setup I normally have.
Whatever. We're going to go. All right. So, Robin, there's always things going on in the cryptid world that are, really, really seem far out there, from people hearing voices in the forest to people hearing, this mimicking of our own voices that are out there. I know that may not be a Sasquatch thing, but what is really going on in the forest that we don't know?
Well, I think to begin with, as far as the mimicking, a lot of that really is the Sasquatch. Like, they can imitate our voices perfectly. We've had situations at my own house where they've imitated my voice. We put a rule down for the kids when they were younger that unless you physically see mom out in the woods, if mom calls you out in the woods, you don't go. But that aside, there are so many cryptids out there that people don't even know exist. Whether they are made by the government, whether they are made by the ETs, or however, they're out there. And people don't know. Like, we have one that's here right now that's been here for 2 years now. I have no idea what to call this thing. It's not aggressive. It's like the size of an elk, but the back haunches of it remind you of a rabbit. And the head on it is similar to a deer, except the ears lay flat back. I don't know what this thing is, but the back of it is like 5.5 feet off the ground. I talk to people all over the globe, and they are constantly telling me, I've seen this, I've seen that. It defies logic. I've not heard people talk about it before. It doesn't have a regular name for it. The Sasquatch call anything that is a cryptid that does not have a name, they call it a Micaiah. And I was told years ago that means that ye that walks the earth that has no name. And it's just kind of like a blanket for all these cryptids that we really don't know what they are. We've had various ETs that have said, wait till you see what we drop off next. And they do their little creating thing up there. And we get a lot of crazy things. And then, as we know, our government does the same as well. So you never know what you're going to see out there. And a lot of them have these crazy abilities. But when it comes to the Sasquatch, they can imitate our voices perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. My ex-husband one time was out in the woods and he said, I've known you for 15 years. I know your voice. Why were you out there while I was deer hunting? And I said, I wasn't out there. And he got so angry with me. And I said, I honestly wasn't out there. And the kids are like, Dad, Mom never went out. She was in the house cooking the whole time. And he's like, I know her voice. I've known her for 15 years. I'm like, clearly you don't. And that was why we implemented the rule with my kids of, if you get called anywhere and you do not see the person that's calling you, you don't go. You just don't go for safety's sake. Now, I've never had them try to hurt my kids. I've never had them try to make a grab at my kids or my grandkids. But, as a parent, you don't trust anything or anybody with your kids. Those are your most prized possessions. So you're more careful with that. But yeah, it's crazy. It is really crazy. And the stuff that's out there, you just don't know. I was sitting in here waiting for the show to start, and I have these big glass panels around my door. And I looked out, and you could see a black form come up on the porch to get the feral cat food that I put out for the feral cats. And like, the head on it took the whole panel of the glass panel on the side of my door. And I was actually on the phone talking to a very good friend of mine, trying to stay awake for your show. And I'm like, there's this gigantic black head in this window around the door. So you just don't ever know what's out there.
Is it major curiosity that a lot of these cryptids have, whether it's Sasquatch, Dogman, little people, gnomes, forest dwellers, wood nymphs, whatever it may be? Is it mainly curiosity to see how you're treating their environment?
Oh, absolutely. These things, especially the Sasquatch, they guard our earth, they guard our planet. You have elementals that are created from that. You have dimensionals that are here. You have all these other cryptids, and they are more in tune with nature than we will ever hope to be. They guard this planet. This planet is what gives them life. It keeps them surviving. We tend to be more destructive of our planet. And they go with a lot of the Native American traditions, especially the Sasquatch, where they make medicines from what's grown. And they have to use more of the holistic approach, as far as medications. They watch the planet. They love it. They nurture it. There are some clans that will actually grow crops, not like, 2 and 3 acres, but they will get things that they want to grow and they will plant them. So yeah, they're much more in tune than we are.
So when they're not on animals, prey, whether it's deer, rabbits, or whatever, prey that is out there, what are they eating?
They are omnivores. Like, they will eat plants, they will eat meat, I've seen some take pieces of bark. I've watched them pull the bark off pine trees and get the sap out of the pine trees. They're not just an opportunistic hunter, they are omnivores. They eat all of it. If there's a way to eat it and it's out there, fruits, vegetables, plants, everything. And meat is only one of the things in their diet. And then we have to realize too that as individuals, some like certain things more than others. I had a group that would come, and this was years ago when I was feeding them, and I didn't know any better. I didn't have anybody to guide me through anything. And I would take what was ever left over from dinner. And I had some that would eat the cooked meat and they just loved it. I had others that if you cooked it, they weren't going to touch it. But that also goes back to the fact that some of the clans will use fire. They're more than capable of it. And others just simply won't. So it comes down to individual preference.
Okay. I would love for you, as we got about 6 minutes to go here, tell us about an encounter that you've had or you've heard of regarding, maybe Sasquatch coming and stealing a meal or something along those lines. I know you probably got one somewhere, Robin.
Oh, yeah. They have stolen chocolate chip cookies out of my house, Parmesan cheese out of my house, bags of dog food. They'll get in the barns and get things. And I have, there's a long time that if I made a turkey dinner, they got a turkey dinner. I would make one for them. And they absolutely will. If you're cooking food on a grill and you're walking in the house to get something, it's not uncommon for people to come out and find the meat has been taken off the grill. They will, if they can grab it, absolutely. Hunters, thousands of hunters every year will, get a deer and trace that blood trail to go get the deer, only to find that the deer's gone. Like, there's no sign of it anywhere. And I know several people myself that have actually gone to get the deer, and there's a Sasquatch standing there with the deer over its back, and they just kind of look at the people and they turn around and they walk away. But yeah, if they can get hands on food to feed themselves, why not? It saves them having to hunt it, saves them having to do anything. They absolutely will. You see a lot of people in the parks, in the recreational areas, and the camping grounds. They've got coolers and things sitting out. And they go out in the morning and they're gone. Our Duke, he had a package of cookies sitting out one night, and they heard the Sasquatch come into the campground at night and take the cookies. I had my grandkids one time. We had soda out and we had like marshmallows and chocolate bars and graham crackers and stuff. And we had it sitting out, and we took the kids in the house to get them ready for bed. And I went back out to clean it up, and they were gone. Pop cans were crushed. There was empty packages from the marshmallows. If they can get their hands on it, they're going to. You know, the same thing with people with chickens. They will get the eggs if they can. They used to get my eggs, and I finally said, listen, I need them for my kids too. And it was immediately after that that I would have half the eggs with me and they would take the other half.
Do they have a real taste for human food?
I think to a degree, yes. I mean, there is some human food I could never get them to take. You know, it was really difficult for the ones by me when I was in Michigan. They didn't understand what a banana was. And I love bananas, and I happened to have a couple, and I put them out there. They did not know what that was because that wasn't native to Michigan. They tried to bite the end off of it, and they spit it right out on the ground because they bit right through the peel, and I'm sure it was bitter. So the next day I took another banana out there, and I peeled like 2 inches of it down and went out like 3 hours later, and I found the peel completely on the ground, and the inside of the banana was gone. You know, they do like human food. It's a different taste for them. It's not overly common for them, but some of them actually prefer it.
What is some of the strangest things that you have been gifted over the years by these creatures?
Wires. We had the wires that were gifted here. Another thing that I thought was really, really bizarre is I love the color purple. It's one of my favorite colors, and I like lace. And I was going through a very rough time at the time, and to say the least. And I happened to walk outside. I'd been outside that morning. There was nothing on my porch. I went in the house. It was a very emotional day. I walked out, and there was a pile of purple lace directly on my porch. Like this huge pile. I don't know where they got it. I really don't. Another time, Igor Borstev was at my house, and we had a gifting area for them, and it was inside the woods. It's not like anything easily got in there. It was a thick woods. And we went out. It was Memorial Day. And we went out there, and here was a smiley face balloon they had taken into the woods. They had wound the ribbon around the base of a tree, and they put branches on top of it because it was helium filled. And they had probably stolen it from in town somewhere, or they found it where it had taken off. But a helium filled smiley balloon.
What about toys? Gifts of the forest?
We actually, my daughter, when she was younger, had a bucket that she put toys in for them, for the little kids, and the kids would play with them. And they had this little How to Train Your Dragon that you bought from McDonald's with a Happy Meal. And they took that. It was gone for a couple years. And then they brought it back, and they laid it out so she was sure to find them. They do well with the kids' toys. A lot of the noisy kids' toys they don't do well with because it overstimulates them. They don't understand what the noise is from. But if you don't put a lot of toys out at one time, they actually do quite well. You want to avoid things that have scary faces. I did have somebody that came out to my property one time. He brought a stuffed Sasquatch with him, and he thought that would be really cute. Just for everybody's information, that's not cute. They don't find it humorous at all. They find it very confusing. They don't understand what it is, and it freaked them out. In fact, I asked the gentleman to leave my property because I had requested that he not bring it. He brought it anyway, thinking he was funny, and it really was a disaster.
When does it become, as we got about 45 seconds here, when does it become too much?
I think it's the overstimulation. Like if you're putting gifts out and stuff and you just put so much, they automatically think everything we do is a trap. So they're automatically cautious unless you have already got a really good base relationship with them. And once you have that, that's a little bit different. But to start out, if you put, less is more. If you put too much out for them, they are automatically overstimulated like a child. They are looking for the trap. They are looking for a way that somebody's going to come out at them. So when you're starting an interaction, you want less is more for sure. You want it for their comfort zone, not yours. You let them make the moves. You let them come to you, and you're not running around after them.
Robin McCrae filling in for a vacationing Super Duke on World Bigfoot Radio and the Cryptid Report here on Spaced Out Radio. When we return, we're going to continue this conversation with Robin, learning more about the Sasquatch, its habits, its wants, its needs. Maybe they just want to cuddle on Spaced Out Radio. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing, people need to really be on their A game right now because baby season is here. And you tend to see, I personally, and the people that I've worked with tend to see more babies in the fall, end of the summer and in the fall. And so people need to really be very cautious of that because they are so overprotective parents that when it comes to these kids, so it's kind of like when you're out in the woods, just be mindful of it. Like I know that these babies are beautiful and they're adorable and God knows you want to see them and go up and cuddle them because they're just so precious, but don't even attempt it because for every one mom you see with a baby, there's another 10 hiding out in the woods. So people have to, really be aware that it's that time of year. They're doing extra hunting this time of year and getting ready for the big winter. So just be mindful when you're out in the woods right now. It's a good time to be out in the woods, but be mindful of what you're doing out there.
Yeah, we were out on Saturday and didn't really have any real fields. I think that area is in the fall.
Yeah, it's hit and miss. And we also forget that, we have our own lives, but so do they. So there are going to be those times where they're around more than they're not. It's not hibernation. It's not migration. It's nothing like that. It's about they have things that they have to do too. Whether it's be, they have warriors that train to protect the clan. You have, the female that are helping with food. You have the hunters that are out getting food, preparing for the winter. They have a lot going on. It's not just like they're hanging out, chewing on a piece of straw all day long. So just like we have our times when we're really busy and we have things going on, so do they. I mean, they are a type of people.
So how was your week?
It's been really busy. Besides all the people that I'm helping, we're hitting it hard with the Nebraska conference, which you are going to be there, which is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see you and get a hug. And of course, Duke will be there. Blaine Tyler will be there. Rob Kreider. We have a lot of really good people coming this year. Seville Irwin. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So working on that, getting things ready for that, helping Melba with the Cryptid Genome Project, which has taken off. And on top of that, I started a job as an assistant for somebody. So it's been a really, really busy week. Had some foot activity over the weekend. You could hear them out in the bushes and they were making noises and, running between the trees. Simple, normal, crazy stuff that they do. And then tonight I happened to walk out in my garage and I see this blue orb, like, the bottom of the door, how you can see that little bit of, from being outside. And I see it looks like a blue light that kind of like just went across the bottom of the door. So whether or not it was an orb, a ship or whatever, something out there with a light blue color to it went under my door. So it's never a dull moment.
I could see that. Yeah, it's never a dull moment here either.
I'm telling you, it gets really crazy. And the more you're in this field, the more that happens. It's like, a chain of events. It's a progression. It might be at one way 1 minute and then it'll hit hard for a week or two. You might have a week or two off and then it hits hard again. And it's just every time it gets active, it's more and more and more.
We got just over a minute.
How's your son doing?
He's doing good.
He's such a good kid.
Yeah, we had a good weekend with him.
Good.
Yeah. Take him away a week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know what we're doing yet when we get there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I leave for Florida tomorrow. I go to Florida till the 12th for business. And so trying to incorporate that into it. So I'll be back on the weekend. So.
Right on. Hold on. Hi, what up, Jim? Welcome to SOR Chat. And thank you to our super chatters tonight, Lord William, CS, Vaughn, W. Decker, Derek, and Deb. We very much appreciate the love. And if you haven't already and you're new here, do us a favor, hit subscribe, ring that bell, as we are here 7 days a week for your entertainment each and every night. Here we go. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Filling in for the vacationing Super Duke on the Cryptid Report, here is Robin McCrae coming on in. And Robin, it's always a good time to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I love it. Like I said, I've really enjoyed the summer with you guys. I'm going to miss you guys when I'm gone, but it's always great here. I look forward to it every week.
Gone but not forgotten in just a few weeks. We will continue to bring you on because we love you around here. Robin, I'm wondering if you could share a story that you have heard where Sasquatch, we tend to fall in love and romanticize about it, especially on this show, but every now and again, there's one out there that maybe is a little rogue, a little pissed off and mad about it, to quote the Texas Hippie Coalition there. And I'm just wondering, have you ever had to deal with some not so nice ones?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In a perfect world, they're all nice, but reality is this, they're not. Okay. They are a type of people. Our people aren't all nice. We have rapists, murderers, pedophiles, psychopaths. They have the same problem in their culture, and some are just plain nasty. And I have gone to areas where there have been aggressive ones, and they are not nice. I think it's important that people realize that because they are a higher frequency and higher energy being, all their emotions run much more intently. So where they love deeper, they also hate deeper. And we are not overly kind to them. Like, we try to destroy what we don't understand. And then you have some that, to be honest, are just plain mean. And in their world, because they are such a powerful being, they're lethal. So people need to realize it's not all rainbows and unicorns. It really and truly isn't. And there are some that are just plain aggressive that would do nothing more than want to hurt us. Just like we have our own people that turn on us and, are firing guns at each other and beating the crap out of each other. These things can be that way too, but you have to look at it that the strength that they have is so immense. So when you get these ones that are problematic and are aggressive, it's a whole new level. Like people, you hear these people and like, well, I've got a gun, I'll be okay. Well, good luck with that, because I'm going to tell you, there are stories that go back all the way into the 17 and 1800s where they can use their own energy to jam that gun, and somebody will pull a gun up on one and the guns will misfire. And they actually there was a story back in the 1800s of a farmer, and he had, I don't recall what state it's in, but he had this land and it was up on a hill, and then it went down almost like in a valley, and he had corn that was planted down there, and he would sit at the top of the hill with his gun, and as the deer came in to get the corn, he would shoot the deer. And it was an easy way for him to feed his family. Well, that didn't go well, because at one point in time, a Sasquatch came in there, is what was determined by the footprints and what was left of this thing. He had went in there probably to get deer out of the same cornfield that this gentleman was. The guy didn't know what he was. He pulled a gun up. They found this man with the barrel of a shotgun wrapped around his neck. And the strength that it would take to bend that gun, to coil it around a human's neck, is immense. But they do have that strength. They are not all nice. They are never going to be all nice any more than our people are going to be all nice. Like, I've been bluff charged in Texas, and I was fortunate that it didn't do anything to me. It bluff charged me, and it came close enough to me that the palmetto bush that was right directly next to me and actually up against my leg, it leveled it. And that bush was up past my waist, and it leveled it to the ground. And I was fortunate it didn't, try to grab me or do anything. I mean, it literally blew my hair off my shoulders because it was that close. It made no bones about the fact that, it didn't want me there. My friend's children were there, and it wanted the kids. And I would not move. I put myself in between this Sasquatch and the kids because, of course, they're kids. And we got the kids out of there. I stood there while the kids got into the safety of the truck, and I got bluff charged. And I was very fortunate that was all it did. I've been in other states where there have been some highly aggressive ones, and I've been fortunate I wasn't hurt. But that doesn't mean I couldn't have been. Nobody is infallible. When you have these ones, like even at Land Between the Lakes, when you have these ones that are aggressive, there is a no holds bar, and they can outmaneuver you at every turn. I don't care who you are, what weapon you have. If they want to go at you, there is no place on this planet or any other planet you're going to go to be safe. However, the flip side of that is predominantly there are much more kind ones than bad, just like with our own people. But that doesn't eliminate the fact that there are bad ones. And, my experience has been since I was a kid, and I don't have a problem with them. I get along with most of them, but that doesn't mean that I haven't come up against the bad ones. You have some that are old school, and they'll call them face eaters or eaters or whatever, and they're actually cannibalistic, whether it's their own people or ours. But again, with our people, if you look on some of these remote islands, we have cannibals in our people too. It's just the culture of that particular group. But absolutely, people need to be aware that they are not all wonderful and kind. Predominantly, yes. They've helped people, they've saved people, they've rescued kids. God knows they've saved my life 6 times. But that doesn't take away from the fact that there are some that are actually lethal.
Robin McCurdy is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio Report. And Robin, these groups that are maybe a little bit more nefarious, are they broken down into territories? Like we've talked about how they seem a lot more aggressive around Louisiana, but in the Pacific Northwest, they seem a little bit more docile, relaxed, and curious. You head up north towards Alaska, we see that aggression again, because everything is bigger, larger, Kodiak bears, polar bears, muskox. Like, you got to be tough in that environment, and size means something. Or on the East Coast, where it's a combination of attitude, ego, and being nice.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword with that, because like when you get up in the Alaska areas, you're talking about millions of acres up there of nothing but wilderness where they don't have to deal with us, and they like it that way. That's why those specific ones go to those areas, because they don't have to deal with us. And so when we infringe in that area, it's not even so much territorial as it is we become that threat to them because they aren't used to having us there. Now, when you talk about other areas like Louisiana, Christie Sci-Fi has a group that is wonderful there. They're literally wonderful. They aren't a threat to anybody, but that doesn't mean in other areas that they're not. You really have to look at it on and I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's the truth. Look at it as an individual basis. There are some areas, due to the area that they're in and what they end up having to deal with, or if they're trying to get away from us, or what are we doing to them in that area, that they get very violent. But then you can go 20 miles up the road and have an area and they're just as loving as can be. So it comes down to individuality. And these open areas, like I said, with Alaska, those are such a big open area they can get lost in there and they don't have to deal with us. And those ones go there for that reason. It's like you go way up in the mountains and you can get some really aggressive one way high up in the mountains. Well, because they went up there to get away from us and then we chase them up there. You know, so the really bad ones do try to go to a lot of areas to get away from us, or you will have some clans that are like, okay, this is our spot. We're going to stand our ground against the hair, what they call the hairless humans, which is us. And we're not going to be tolerable of anything. So you have to kind of gauge it where you're at. You know, like I said, Christy in Louisiana, her group is tremendous. They would never hurt anybody. They're wonderful. And there's no problem, but you can get into certain areas that they are. Michigan, you know, I'm born and raised in Michigan. Pigeon area has some aggressive groups. Grayling has some aggressive groups. And there seems to be these little pockets. To say that all of them in those groups are nasty, I wouldn't go that far. You know, the clan that I had at my house, there were 60 different individuals that came and went through there. And there was like 2 of them that were obnoxious. You know, everybody has them. You can live in the most influential area in the country and have all these wonderful people. And there's always going to be that one that comes in and has to stir up the trouble and, you know, be the problem. And so you have to deal with that too. It's an individual thing, but a lot of these more wilderness areas will have more wild ones because they purposely have gone to those areas to get away from us.
Robin, with the fact that we do have these stray components that are a little bit more violent, a little bit more brazen in what they're doing, are they spread out right across North America, or are they in hot pockets where maybe it's temperature, maybe it's the animals that are trying to attack them that gets them frustrated?
My own observation is that there are pockets of them like that, but I think we would be remiss if we didn't realize that, you know, even in the really, really good groups, you might get an occasional grumpy one, and that's just the personality of that one. All their personalities are different. There are no 2 alike. And I do think that there are pockets, like the bad ones like to hang out together. They're quite happy being grumpy in their own little pod there, you know, I mean, in their own clans, own little pockets, and they're happy that way. But with each clan, just like with everybody's families, you always have that one family member that might be a bit grouchy, not as friendly, you know, and so it's not uncommon, even in the best of clans, to have a crabby one.
Okay. What would upset them? Is it previous history with humans? Is it previous history that maybe they just woke up on the wrong side of the cave? Or is it something that maybe they just grew up that way and the wires are crossed a little bit?
Actually, it's all of those things. There's not one certain thing that's going to set them off. You know, it's just like we have kids that maybe they come from a very tough home life, or their parents aren't as kind as they should to be, or whatever, or maybe they're just mentally in their own little place and they turn out not as kind as perhaps a sibling. It's the same issue. You know, they are very strict disciplines. They, you know, when they discipline a child or they discipline somebody in the clan, it's like a corporal punishment type thing. And so you have some that have an attitude, and you have others that just flat out don't care for us. Like the rest of the clan may be all lovey-dovey with us, but they don't care for us, or they don't like another member of the clan, or they just have attitudes. Like if you look at everybody in our world, everybody's got a different personality. They've got a different thought process, a different thought base, you know, and what they consider as tolerable behavior and what they consider isn't. And it's the very same thing with them.
So what should a person do to stay safe if you don't know what kind of area these creatures are in?
Well, you know, myself, I do a lot of energy work, but even if you don't know how to do energy work or how to read energy, you're going to feel a change. If you're walking out in the woods and it just doesn't feel quite right, if it makes you feel a little bit anxious, or if you don't get that warm, fuzzy feeling, then that's just not the day that you need to be there. You know, maybe come back later, maybe try another area. Listen to your body. Your body will react to that different energy before your brain will. So if you're walking out there and you're feeling like everything is peaceful and tranquil and you're happy, and then all of a sudden you just feel like the hair standing up on the back of your neck, listen to that. Listen to that, because your body is going to react to that energy shift quicker than your brain will. And that's going to tell you that, okay, it might have been a really good area, a lot of warm, fuzzy thoughts, but maybe something walked into that area. And so now that's the time where you're, excuse me, I'm going to leave and we'll try this again on another day. Always listen to the way your body reacts to things. Listen and watch how the animals react to it. Be mindful of those things. Any type of a change like that you're uncertain of, it's just time to call it a day. That doesn't mean you can't go back at a later time, but it just means it's time to call it a day. So be proactive in your surroundings and in how your body reacts to things.
Always seems to come down to the body and how we react to it. How does Sasquatch play off of us? And can you give us an example?
I can give you a perfect example. Because they are all telepathic, because they all read energy and they are higher frequency and higher energy, they can feel anything off of us. They know our moods, our likes, our dislikes, what is in our head. Before we even have a thought, they've already read us. And there was a time that I was at home and I had Igor Borstev was there. I had a couple other researchers there, and one of the gentlemen wanted to walk around my woods. And I said, the moms and the babies are out right now. If you want to go out in the woods, I don't mind. I never let more than a couple of people there at one time, and I didn't allow that very often. And I said, I don't mind taking you out and we'll walk around the woods, but I do not want anybody out on their own. I just don't, because this is where they're hanging out. They don't know you, and out of respect, I'll go with you, but I don't want you out on your own. And this person had asked if he could camp out overnight. I had said that was fine. He was someone that Igor knew, and I felt like that was a safe thing. And he was supposed to be setting up his tent, and I'm in the house, and next thing I know, one of the moms was just in panic mode. And because I'm an empath, I can feel everything that she's feeling. So I'm like panicked, and they're mind speaking and they're upset. So I go just running as fast as I can out to the back of the woods. And she's out there hysterical because we had this one low area and it had water in it and reeds. And when she would go out and she would hunt, she would place her babies. She had 3 babies, and she would put them in those reeds and felt that they were safe there. This person that was an invited guest decided to go against what I had asked and go out in the woods on his own. And he's out there just freely walking around the woods. She didn't know him. It was a different energy. It was a different vibe. She didn't know who he was. And she had children out there. She was absolutely terrified, just terrified. And I got out there. I saw he was there, and I ushered him out. And I was, very stern about it. I was not happy to say the least. And, oh, don't worry, I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. Well, I had an area that I was putting food out for them, and Igor put a camera and everything out. And this darn fool went back out there and messed with it again. And I finally had to ask him to leave my home.
How come?
He wouldn't stop going out there by himself, which was intrusive to them. And they just didn't understand why he was there. They just didn't get it. And so I asked him to leave because he made them too uncomfortable. And it was such a good clan to work with. I wouldn't have, even if it was a strange clan, I would never have allowed it. So I actually asked him to leave, and I did never allow him back again.
And does the other clan respond to that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. What?
Does the rest of the clan respect and respond to that?
Absolutely. When you get one shook up, they all become shook up. They're very telepathic, and they're very much into each other and maintaining that clan and making sure they're all protected. So you get one upset, you got everybody upset.
We have about 2 minutes to go here before we got to say goodnight to Robin McRae on the Cryptid Report. Robin, sometimes this can be very magical. Sometimes it can be a lot of fun. What signs do you look for in, say, a fresh area to maybe know that they're around? Is it orbs? Is it sound? What is it?
I go by two things. Number one, the structures. I love stick structures. I have since I was a small child. And don't ever mess with their structures. Observe them, think they're wonderful, but don't be messing with them. They don't like that. The other thing is when I go in an area that they're there, I feel joy from them. I feel that heightened energy, and I feel happiness, and I feel it like down to my core. So those are the first things I always feel. Like when I go in there, how do I feel when I walk into the woods? And then am I going to see footprints? Am I going to find structures? And I show an awful lot of respect to the structures. I don't move them around. I don't try to displace them in any way. I just enjoy them. But that joy that I feel when I go in the woods, when they're around, it's infectious to me. Like it makes my world, because I feel that love and I feel that joy. And that's what will bring me back every time.
And it brings you closer to the creature. So if it's bringing you closer to the creature, do you ever worry about your own safety?
I would be remiss if I said that I didn't. There are certain situations that, of course, you do. I tend to be one of these ones that I get every time I've seen them, and I've seen hundreds of them, but every time I see them, it's like the first time all over again, and I get so excited to see them. But I'm so careful that I don't invade their space. I let them make the decisions. But have I ever been frightened to be out there with them? Yeah, because if I got that vibe off of them that maybe they aren't as friendly as the other ones are, or maybe they're concerned about me being there, then absolutely I get apprehensive. I mean, I'm human. I have a lot of interaction, but I'm not, I try not to be too stupid. And so, yeah, every situation is different. And I try to look at it as a fresh situation. And if, I'm doing my part and I'm doing the respectful thing and I'm giving them the space, then even the ones that come in that tend to be a little grumpier, I don't get ran out.
And on that note, thank you for coming back on Spaced Out Radio. You were absolutely wonderful tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, you shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Yeah, we were getting some feedback. And I don't know if you're usually use it.
I don't know why we're getting it either, because there's like no noise going on here. And it's the same device I always use. Like, I don't understand that.
I don't know.
But it's always good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, Eric Galloway wanted to ask you this question. He's curious your thoughts
about what?
about the Yeti?
Yetis tend to be a little bit more gruff because, you know, they're way up in the Himalayas and they're way up high and they don't have to deal with us. Okay, that doesn't mean they're all mean. It just means that they live in an area where there's not a lot of contact and they don't seem to be like with what limited contact that they have, like, you know, there's the monks and that kind of stuff. They seem to be all right with them, but they don't have a lot of people traffic up there. And so it is very hit and miss. They do have a little bit more of a grumpy temperament, but at the same time, they have so much space up in those mountains that they can just go off and do their own thing. They don't have to deal with us. So when they do get people up there, especially if they aren't like normal to that area, they can get a little grumpier, yes. And they do go up high like that and get up in the Himalayan mountains because they really and truly just want to be left alone. You know, they've got their own world up there and they don't have to deal with us if they don't have to.
Very true. Very true. Robin, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I appreciate you guys so much.
We'll talk soon.
Bye, babe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Robin McCrae, everybody. That was weird getting that feedback. Never happens with her. Never. I'm going to go just kind of throw some cold water on my face. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Sorry about that. Feel a little refreshed now. You having a good night, everyone? You having a good night? Huh? 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 Pouring rain here. It's awesome. Yeah, that Peruvian story is weird. Good night, Parasolo. What hotel were you booking? Oh, what's in North Carolina, Tim? Tim. Hey, Blue Cruise. Oh, very cool. Oh, North Carolina. Someone I know? Who the hell is in North Carolina that I know? Oh, very cool. Is the goatee in good shape? the end of this one. Maybe they just want to cuddle on Spaced Out Radio. Gentry, how you doing, babe? Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. The other cider. I'm going to find another show here. Just bear with me. I thirsted Hell the Third.
You're listening.
Right. I've got everything done here. So thank you tonight to Deb, Derek, W. Decker, Vaughn, CS, Lord William, Cat Chaser, Derek again, and Izzy Stradlin for the great super chats. I'm not here tomorrow night. Marquise will be here with Science Bob. You enjoy yourselves. I got to go to Whistler. I'll be back on Thursday and really appreciate all of your love and support. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.